Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast. Please subscribe to our channel.
All I gotta say is, who that? Hey, what's going on, Who That Nation? It is yours truly, Timothy J. Jones. And yes, I am the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you all so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. And hope everybody having a good afternoon, good evening so far. Really do appreciate your time. Yeah, we back at it again, man. We back at it again. This is the second show that we've done today. And I just thought that it would be good to actually have a show because it just seems like the energy of the Who That Nation is a tad bit all over the place. And just want to kind of come back again, man, to talk a little bit about free agency. As we know that this is the tampering process. The season officially starts on Wednesday. It officially starts where the New Orleans, it started on Wednesday around 4 p.m. That's when things will become official. So a lot of these things that we're seeing when it comes to guys signing with other teams and, the deals and everything that they got, it won't be official until the league actually starts. So, but, looking at all these other teams make moves, especially like looking at what the Carolina Panthers have done so far, they definitely added to their team. They definitely are using the money in order for them to be formidable in 2025. You look around, you look at the Rams, getting Devontae Adams. You look at the Steelers getting DK Metcalf. You look at the Jets acquiring Justin Fields. That should be interesting, especially when you're looking at the quarterback position in this year's drafts. I mean, so a lot of things have kind of come into play, and you're wondering to yourself, will a quarterback be available around 9 for the New Orleans Saints if they were to choose to pick one? You look at the Cleveland Browns, they picked up Kenny Pickett from the Philadelphia Eagles. And, it's not set in stone that the Tennessee Titans are going to roll with a quarterback this season. They might end up getting Abdul Carter, which, following him, it kind of seems as if he's pretty confident that he's going to go number one overall. And then you got some other teams out there that's going to be making some noise nonetheless. But I just wanted to kind of just come back and talk about free agency and also talk about, will the Saints be active during this free agent period? I mean, we know that there were reports that said that the Saints would be more active this time around when it comes to free agency. I think people are kind of, getting upset at them not making a huge splash right now. This is normally the time where you're probably going to see the high profile free agents go off the board relatively quickly. We know that the Saints kind of move a little bit towards, a week and a half into free agency, when the smoke is clear. It's kind of like when you go into that bargain store, right? You go into the bargain bin and everybody kind of picked out everything they wanted. And then all of a sudden you just show up and pretty much pick up, the scraps. And that's kind of how the Saints worked. And, in the process, they would manage to find some decent free agents during that time, but it's just something different about this football team this season and the energy that fans are coming with. I just think that people are tired and frustrated at what they actually have seen over the last couple of years. Looking at the New Orleans Saints basically fumble all over themselves, act as if nothing is really that important, whiffing on draft picks, and then, completely doubling and tripling down on decisions that are very, very questionable. And, I want to make this very clear to some of those people out there that feel like their allegiance has to be tied to them being complicit. And by complicit, I mean them being quiet about certain things that we know for a fact that the Saints need to change. That doesn't make you a true fan. Honestly, it does not. You wouldn't want anybody to slap you in the face, right, without you retaliating, right? You wouldn't want anybody to step on your foot and you walk right past you without saying, excuse me. So just because, you don't say anything doesn't mean that your foot isn't hurting, doesn't mean that the slap, you ain't feeling the effects of it. The reality is we are all Saints fans at the end of the day. And we have watched this thing happen over the last couple of years, and people are tired of it. People want to see change. The New Orleans Saints and the way that they're moving right now, I mentioned this on X, so forgive me if you actually heard me say this or seen me write this before, but it's as if they honestly believe that if it wasn't for those injuries, they would be playing in the Super Bowl. The Saints need to fix this team. They need to improve this team. They need to add depth to this team. They need to make sure that they actually have a good combination of young players as well as seasoned veterans to be able to be mentors to those young players. They need a cornerback now that we know that Paulson Adebo is on the move to the New York Giants. So all of these things need to be fixed. And I asked a question also on social media. Well, I didn't ask a question. I made a statement, and I stand by this statement. If the New Orleans Saints have the 9th pick in the draft, and the New Orleans Saints end up having an opportunity to draft a quarterback, if they were able to draft or acquire Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders, I can't believe what I'm actually hearing or seeing people tweet. For the last couple of years, we have watched this New Orleans Saints football team try to figure out life outside of Drew Brees. I'm going to say that again. For the last 4 years, we have seen the New Orleans Saints try to figure out life outside of Drew Brees. But you have these Saints fans that are acting holier than thou and uppity and picky when it comes to quarterbacks. And the rhetoric that is coming out of the mouth of some of you Saints fans is just absolutely unbelievable. I'm starting to question, do y'all watch football at all? Or do y'all just pay attention to the dirt sheets and that's the narrative that you run with? Now, for example, if Shedeur Sanders drops to number 9, if he drops to number 9, you damn right you draft this guy. Because here's the thing. The New Orleans Saints, if everything pans out, like Derek Carr or not, they're not picking number 9. Like, it would have to take something catastrophic to happen yet again for the New Orleans Saints to be picking in the top 10. Derek Carr is not Scott Mitchell. Derek Carr isn't Stoney Case or some of these other quarterbacks that you may think that he is. He may not be that quarterback that's going to consistently take you to the playoffs, but you're going to win some games with Derek Carr. I mentioned this before, and I'm going to say it again. Derek Carr is not good enough, in my opinion, to get you a deep run into the playoffs. But he's damn sure good enough to allow or not allow an organization to pick his replacement. So you'll be picking around 11 or 12. So this is what people need to understand. If you're picking number 9, you're not going to be picking number 9 in 2026. You can talk about how trash Derek Carr is. You can talk about, I don't like Derek Carr. But Derek Carr isn't the worst quarterback in the world. And you're going to win some football games with him as your quarterback. Just on his basic knowledge alone. Just the fact that him being a veteran and understanding the game alone. May not like it, but that is a fact. So if you have an opportunity to get a quarterback that's going to be one of the best quarterbacks in this draft, you draft him. That's just what it is. You draft that quarterback. And you're like, oh, man, we got holes to fill. Let me tell you something. You may have some holes to fill, but I guarantee you there is no bigger hole to fill than a quarterback. And all these people talking about, oh, man, they ain't generational talent. Lamar Jackson, they told us he wasn't generational talent. Jalen Hurts, they told us he wasn't generational talent. But guess what? Jalen Hurts has went to 2 Super Bowls, won one, league MVP. Lamar Jackson has won countless more in league MVPs, double, what he's won, 2 or 3 league MVPs. So all these people out here, man, stop looking at these dirt sheets. Stop looking at Monday Morning Quarterback and look at what your eyes are telling you. Look at what your eyes are telling you. Stop listening to these talking heads. Don't even listen to me. Go back and listen and go back and watch the game. Watch the players. These narratives that y'all running with, that y'all stole and pilfered from these people, like y'all making yourself look ridiculous. I'm not saying not take a person at their word, but go and see for yourself. The mere fact that some people honestly believe that Shedeur Sanders is not a good quarterback, not good enough to be a NFL caliber quarterback, is just absolutely asinine. If you watch this dude play 2 years at Jackson State, 2 years at Colorado, and you have come to the conclusion that the only reason why this guy is successful is because Deion Sanders is his father, you're absolutely insane. You're insane. This dude has completed 74% of his passes, 4,100 yards, 37 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. And that was the first time throughout his collegiate career that he threw double-digit interceptions in a season. And yet some of y'all are sitting up here acting as if y'all can't use that. I don't get it. Oh, he brash, he arrogant. So the freak what? Don't you want a quarterback that's confident in himself? That's the problem with this organization right now. You don't have too many guys that don't seem like they're very confident in their abilities. And so what if he end up sitting on a bench? At least you know that you got a future. And also the way that the seasons have been going with Derek Carr as the quarterback, hasn't he been hurt the last couple of seasons? And no, this isn't me poo-pooing on Spencer Rattler, because I like Spencer Rattler, but it doesn't matter what I think. It doesn't matter what you think. The fact is, if they believed in Spencer Rattler the way that we believe in Spencer Rattler, then Derek Carr would be on the move. They would have allowed Derek Carr to go out here to test free agency. But there's something about Spencer Rattler, they don't feel like he's ready for prime time. This isn't me talking. Y'all know how I roll. I would rather go out there with Spencer Rattler and yet let the chip fall where they may. But since we know that looking at this team and based on your decisions, you don't feel like Spencer Rattler is necessarily ready. And if you feel like you're confident enough that your team is going to be much better than people indicate, why the hell, if Shedeur Sanders isn't there at 9, why when you pick him? Because in 2026, I assume the way that y'all moving, you don't think that you're going to be picking in the top 10. So take this opportunity if it presents itself. And this is only just scenarios. I don't know if he's going to be there or not. But if he or Cam Ward is there, which I highly doubt if Cam Ward is there, but the reality is if one of those guys are there, you pick them. I don't care what none of y'all talking about. Man, we need this, we need that. The most important position on the team, outside of my opinion, an offensive lineman that can actually protect your quarterback, is the quarterback itself. Because no matter how good your quarterback is, if they don't have an offensive lineman that can protect his blind side, he ain't doing jack. So all this holier than thou, like, oh, I wouldn't dare besmirch like our organization, our great organization, by bringing in a Shedeur Sanders. Man, please, have y'all looked at the Saints? Some of y'all looking at the Saints through 2019, 2018 eyes, man. That's how y'all looking at this squad, man. The quarterback position has been absolutely downright slow. It's been slow. How some of y'all don't see this, I just don't understand it. The Saints need somebody that can lead this organization into the future at the quarterback position. Rather you all like it or not. If a quarterback is there for the taking, you take that quarterback. This is a very deep draft at wide receiver. This is a very deep draft at defensive lineman. This is a very deep draft at running back. all of those things that you feel like the Saints need to plug and fill a hole with, they can get in the second and the third round. So if a quarterback is there, God doggy, you take it. How many times do y'all have to see this team fall on its face in order for y'all to understand that? Maybe a couple more years you have to be removed for y'all to realize that people don't look at the New Orleans Saints the way that they once did. They don't. So the Saints have to embrace this rebuild. You gotta understand where you at. You gotta understand it. Yes, son.
What are you doing?
I'm doing a podcast.
Well, are you good?
I'm good.
Just making sure.
All right, thanks, son.
You can continue while I walk out.
Okay, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, Pac-Man, always checking on me every episode. Just so happy to always check on me. I think that's his way of wanting to be on camera every episode now. But thank y'all so much for being here. I really do appreciate it. I'm gonna open up the phone lines, man. I want to see what you all think about the Saints and free agent frenzy. I had a podcast earlier today. Talked a little bit about Derek Carr and the contract. We also talked about Devon Godshaw. The Saints making a trade for him, giving up a 7th-round pick, giving it to the Patriots for the 330-pound Plaquemines Paris native right there, LSU Tiger. So we already kind of, discussed that, talked about that. So I'm going to go ahead and see what you all got to say. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and read some of your comments just to acknowledge some of the people that are here right now. I appreciate that. I'll start with Brian. Brian says you're going to win versus teams under 500. That's pretty much. But like I said, it's going to be like 6 or 7 wins. Just enough for him to validate himself as a decent quarterback. What the? Hello? All right, man. I got this camera that actually follows me everywhere, right? So I don't know why it's all the way over there. I don't know. I have absolutely no idea. But anyway, probably about 6 or 7 wins. They're probably gonna get you, just on the outside looking in, but not going to give you anything that you consider success. It's not happening. He hasn't won us anything yet. Not at all. It was a perfect year to tank. Fewer teams looking for a quarterback than we get Manning. And now we going to win like 7 games with Carr and pick 13 or something. Yep, pretty much. Need a quarterback to replace Carr 1 or 2 years, but no quarterback can throw if he is on the ground with broken ribs. The most important need is a strong offensive line. I agree. But all these things can be fixed in later rounds. Like, I get it. I get it that people look at these 1st-round picks and but I'm telling you, there are going to be 3rd-round, 4th-round players they're going to end up being 1st-team All-Pros years down the line. This is how deep this draft is at defensive lineman, running back. This is a deep draft. So I know that, when you look at, oh, man, we got this in the 1st round, I'm telling you, these 2nd-round, 3rd-round picks that if the Saints are doing their homework and do their due diligence, they're going to come in and make an immediate impact. They're going to make an immediate impact. So I'm just saying, man, go into the draft, let's just say if you want to get Ashton Jeanty or something like that, right? If you want to get Ashton Jeanty and, one of these quarterbacks fall, to me, all bets are off. All bets are off, man. Because you ain't trying to, you are not trying to pick in this position very often. If you was in this position very often, then I can understand. But the way that the Saints are moving, the way that they re-signing these guys, like the Nate Shepherds and Dante Pettises of the world, it's to me, it's like them saying, man, we was close last year, but we're gonna try to keep this thing together and we're going to try to get ourselves a strength and conditioning coach to work on the health and wellness of this team, and we're going to try to make a run for it. That's kind of like what they're indicating. No, the way that we feel about this team is not the way that they look at themselves. I don't know if that's a very admirable thing or a very scary thing. I don't know. But they don't look at themselves the way that we look at them. Yes, TJ, brother, I agree 100% with you. Old David Debo going to be a Pro Bowler now that he's not with us. I mean, he going to a major market where he's going to get a lot of exposure. So if he plays well and turns the ball over and, get the ball back to his offense like he was doing with the Saints, yeah, he'll get there. Carr does not want to be here. No, he didn't. I think if I'm not mistaken, I think he wanted to test the free agent market, and the Saints were like, no, we want you here. Like, come on, bro. If somebody don't want to be here, they don't want to be here. But I understand it from a business standpoint. They needed to restructure his deal in order for them to be, competitive, I guess. Have we heard anything from Carr since the season ended? Because he been a ghost recently. Dude just wants a bag. Don't give a F about the Saints. I haven't heard from him, haven't seen him, but I guess the Saints, they've talked to him. Which leads me to my next point here, man. This is a clip. This was from earlier today, and Kellen Moore spoke to the media about Derek Carr. This is what he said.
We just talked about our obviously confidence in this situation and the ability for him to have success here. I think we got a great group here, from the players, the coaching staff, to the environment that we're going to be able to create for him. Felt really, really good and comfortable with what we're going to be able to provide.
You mentioned earlier about going through the process at your opening presser. How soon into the process did you know Derek was your guy, or did you know right away?
Yeah, certainly you take this job with the intentions of some of the top players being here, and we felt very comfortable with them. Obviously, anytime you go through these things, it's great to connect first as people and build those relationships and go from there. And so, I'm really, really excited to work.
I'm sorry, Who Dat Nation. I'm sorry, sports fans. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I don't believe Kellen Moore. I don't. I don't believe Kellen Moore. I believe Kellen Moore when he first came to New Orleans in his first press conference, when he was kind of reluctant to acknowledge Derek Carr as the starting quarterback for the 2025 season. I don't know if somebody showed him the books. I don't know if somebody kind of brought him up to speed about what the Saints would actually lose if, he wasn't on a roster at a certain time. I don't know. But the energy that he's speaking with right now is not the same energy he was coming with when he first got to New Orleans. Now, I'm not saying this to say that Kellen Moore is wishy-washy. I think that maybe he understands the situation of the Saints in the quarterback position more now than he did then. But you're not about to tell me that Kellen Moore was sold he was sold to be the head coach of the New Orleans Saints because he believed in Derek Carr. You ain't about to make me believe that. There ain't enough. I mean, I don't know, man. They ain't got enough oceanfront property anywhere for me to believe that that's how that man felt. Man. This is an absolute joke, man. I understand why they decided to restructure his deal, but come on, man. Come on. Nobody believe this. The dude don't want to be here. I don't think if the Saints, if they books were on the up and up, I do feel like he probably would be allowed to test free agency. I'll probably be gone by now. But this is the Saints basically, not wanting to show everybody and tell everybody that they made a mistake. But look, this dude, you ain't about to tell me that you at the negotiation table, you trying to convince a guy to come and coach your team, and you like, man, we got Derek Carr here. Come on, dude, Derek Carr. Oh man, where do I sign? Man, please. Call it for what it is. This was one of those situations where you had to restructure the deal. You understood what was the best case scenario. The best case scenario was to restructure the deal and possibly bring him back for 2025 in order for y'all to be able to do some more things differently in 2026. So this whole buy-in situation that y'all trying to feed us like this was the whole plan in the first place, I don't believe you. I don't believe you, and I'm not buying what you're selling. But I still believe Kellen Moore can do some good for the New Orleans Saints. I'm not looking at this like this is his fault. The man only can go by what is given to him, and he only can roll with what he was inherited. Like there's some things that he can basically work around. There's some things that he can actually do to make the team better, but it's going to take some time in order for him to put a stamp on the team. So I'm not going to completely like just destroy Kellen Moore and talk about him being weaker. And I don't think it's that way. I think that this was a tough situation for any coach to fall into. And, he has to kind of just go with the flow right now until he's able to, be able to move some things around when the Saints get their salary cap on the up and up. But we're going to go ahead and go to Josh. Josh, how you doing, man?
Hey, what's up, TJ? How you doing, brother?
I'm doing all right, man. Man, what you laying on the bed, man?
Yeah, I'm laying on a bed, man.
It's smooth
My back
operator.
hurts. Man, my back hurts, man. I had a long drive today.
Oh, man, I hear you, man. Where you were driving from?
Just from Ames to Iowa City because I come out here during the week to attend classes.
Okay,
but it's a 3-hour drive, and I have, like I told you, I have kind of severe back problems. So
man.
The day of the drive is always kind of a crappy day for my back.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah, I understand, man. Well, good, man. Yeah, just take a load off, man. And what you got on our mind? I mean, what you got on your mind?
I'm at home anyway. This is the State of the Saints podcast. If I can't kick my shoes off here, where can I? You know what I'm saying?
Pretty much, man. Pretty much. Yeah, but thank you, man. Thank you for being here, man. What you got for us, man? Free agent frenzy, Saints, restructuring Derek Carr. I mean, I know you are a bit of a Carr supporter, but like what do you think about this, man? Being in a place that you don't want to be, but you kind of forced to be there because of the contract that you signed.
Well, TJ, if you remember correctly, I kind of turned against Carr and joined your side like a couple months ago. I'm been all for getting rid of Carr ever since then. I don't. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, not so much that that you, like I mean, I know over the course of time you kind of expressed like how you felt as far as like how you felt at the beginning and how you feel now. Yeah. But I think we all in agreement like he's not a bad quarterback. But I just think that, man, the guy is just not happy, and the Saints fans aren't happy with him.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I've said this for like the last month. We should have just cut him, take the cap hit since we're in cap hell anyway, and just take that major hit and do the whole full rebuild thing. But Mickey Loomis is Mickey Loomis, and he just doesn't want to do that. But it really, can I say, pissed me off on here?
That's fine. You already said it.
It really pissed me off when I found out that Derek Carr himself wanted to shop for other teams and Mickey Loomis wouldn't let him. Like, that's the nail in the coffin for me to Mickey Loomis. And you know what? We could have gotten something for Carr because the fact is he's better than about half the quarterbacks in this league. There would be a lot of teams that want him. You know what I'm saying? He's way better than anything the Giants have going on. He's way better than anything the Bears and the Cardinals and a bunch of other teams have going on. Heck, he's probably way better than anything the Cowboys have going on. You know what I'm saying? So we could get rid of him, take that cap hit or whatever, and probably get something decent in return for him. So I just do not understand this at all. Now, as far as free agency, I did not have a chance to watch your video on Trey Hendrickson.
Your signal going in and out, man.
Okay. Is it still? Is it still?
Signal going in and out.
Hold on.
I'm gonna hang you up and then I'll bring back in when you call back in so you can finish your point. All right, so can everybody still hear me? Yeah, everybody still hear me? Maybe it was on my end. Because can everybody still hear me? Just want to make sure everybody can hear me. Okay, all right. So I guess it was on Josh end, man. Josh called back in you to let you finish up your point. Let's see now. All right. Can you hear me?
Yeah, am I here?
Yeah,
I
you're
with
here,
you, or-
but you're free. You're with me, but you're still freezing up, man.
Am I really?
Okay, you are. You okay now?
Okay. Okay, cool. So what was I saying? Where did I cut off? Do you remember? Oh, free agency.
Yeah, just free agents. Yeah.
I was going to go from Carr into free agency. I did not get a chance to watch your video on Trey Hendrickson, so I don't know what you said there. But my thing is this. I don't want Trey Hendrickson here. I don't want DK Metcalf here. I don't want Aaron Rodgers here, Tyler Lockett here. None of those guys. No big names whatsoever, because all a big name is going to do is keep us in cap hell for longer. That's all bringing a big name is going to do. We need to actually embrace a full rebuild like you're talking about and leave free agency alone. You know, most years we don't splash into free agency too much when we should. I guarantee you this year, when we shouldn't, we're probably going to. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, understanding Mickey Loomis is just, I've given up trying. But I don't think bringing any big name in is going to help this team for the long term in any sort of way, because a big names means big money. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, we should have cut Carr or let him go or whatever. We should see what we have in Spencer Rattler, and if he doesn't trust Rattler, then try Jake Haener. You know what I'm saying? We got to move on from the Derek Carr experience, I think. But also free agency, I don't want us touching that. I want us going to. We need to be unloading the stars we have now, Chris Olave and them. Honestly, we need to really just do this full rebuild thing and see where it takes us in a few years. But with that, I'll let you talk.
Well, I say this, man. When it comes to Trey Hendrickson, I want to bring him in for the simple fact that I don't feel like he should have been going in the first place. And you know what you have with him. I mean, it's not like one of those situations where you're taking a gamble. You drafted this guy. I mean, the last time he was on your team, he had 13 and a half sacks. He led the league in sacks this past season. So bringing him back to me would just be like righting a wrong, that shouldn't have been in the first place. So that would be my stance when it comes to Hendrickson. Other guys like Metcalf and all that, I agree with you on that, because I am a firm believer in trying to get, players through the draft. Like offensive linemen, I feel like they need to draft that. Wide receiver, somebody that can be opposite of Chris Olave and Shaheed, you need to draft that. The running back that's going to, be that complimentary back to Alvin Kamara, I feel like you need to draft that. I do agree with what you're saying when it comes to adding, young, youthful players through the draft on your team. And I like what they're doing too, Josh, when it comes to like finding these coaches that have a reputation of developing guys. And I
Kellen
think
Moore is doing a great job.
Yeah. So far, like everything we seeing from it when it comes to appointing coaches and selecting coaches, like their background, what their emphasis on certain things are, he's doing a good job. Like I just think that people want him like right away to kind of be that Sean Payton type, but like over the course of time, that has to be developed. Like it has to be a company with some winning. It has to be a company with like, you having a reputation of knowing what you're doing. Like it wasn't like that at the beginning with Sean Payton. Like some people don't remember that because probably when Sean Payton first got to New Orleans, Josh, a lot of people were too young to understand. Like he had to build up that reputation in order for him to be able to call the shots and do the things that he did. It didn't happen overnight.
Now I want to quickly defend Derek Carr in a way here, not on a football level, but on a personal level. People are complaining about him not showing up to, like the parades and the Super Bowl and everything. From what I've heard from a couple of people, his dad is in the hospital fighting something. And that's a big part of the reason why he's not really, showing up to parades and stuff. So, right. Don't judge him for that. First of all, he's never been the type to come out to a lot of those kind of events anyway, unless it's like a church thing. He'll go to a church thing, but like he's not really the type to. He's never been like a man about town. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I'm just telling you what I've heard, and it seems to be legitimate. He's having some family issues, his dad's health, so that's why he's not showing up around town for parades and whatever.
Yeah, I mean, look, I completely understand that, and family that is important. I don't know if people like looking at it that way, or like how long it's been going on, but I just think that even if that he doesn't show up to those things, I think people want to have some type of rapport with their quarterback or their star players. Like people take a
Mhm.
lot of pride and love the fact that you can be in the French Quarter and then all of a sudden Alvin Kamara just walks right past you, not flanked by a bunch of entourage, but just out there by himself. Teddy Bridgewater riding a bike through the ninth ward for finding a
Yeah.
pickup flag football game. Like those type of
And,
things, like with folks. Like, I mean, New
and
Orleans
this,
is a special place, man. People like the intimacy that they have between the players and themselves.
yeah, and this is part of the reason why I think, how I told you I became a bandwagon fan because of Hurricane Katrina, all that.
Mm-hmm.
But I stayed, and that's part of the reason I stayed because, as you know, I'm from Milwaukee, so obviously I'm a Packer fan. Green Bay is the same way with their players. Like Aaron Rodgers shops at frickin' Walmart in Green Bay when he's there, and you know what I'm saying? It's not uncommon to see these guys just out and about, no security, no entourage, nothing, just normal people. So there's like a very much similarity between Green Bay fans, Wisconsin fans, and Louisiana fans, I think.
Right.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
That's really all I got for you, man. But I just want to. Here's what I wanted to say. The Saints might just be saying this stuff about Derek Carr because if they cut him in June, the cap hit is lower, so they might just be biding their time until June. So we can hope at least for that.
Yeah, I mean that could be a scenario. I don't know, man. I just think that Saints fans as well as Derek Carr just want to split, man. I mean, it's just one of those situations, man, where nobody's a bad person. Like I used on a show earlier today. It's like a relationship. Like people think that a relationship has to end with somebody's car being, tires being slashed or car being keyed, but it don't have to be that way. Like sometimes, you look at two people, the good, decent people, it just doesn't work out. And I feel like that's the same way when it comes to Derek Carr and the Saints organization. It's not a bad quarterback, and he'll go somewhere and he'll probably win some football games if it's accompanied by some things that can make it work. But I just don't think that he's just the right fit for what New Orleans needs.
Well, so one more thing, and I'll let you go, TG. I just got to fit this in. If you really want to get rid of Derek Carr, I've said this in the chat a few times, make Barb the quarterback's coach. Because Barb will ride his butt so hard that he'll be like running out of New Orleans. You'll like, here, take this money. He'll have cash, suitcases full of money, just throwing it back at the Saints. Just keep the money. I don't care. I don't want to be here no more. Keep me away from Barb. That's what's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? So make Barb the quarterback's coach. You'll be rid of Derek Carr within 2 weeks. So there you go.
If Barb ended up being anywhere on the Saints staff, we won't have to worry about Derek Carr. That's for sure, man. But Josh, thank you so much, man, for chiming in. Always a pleasure to talk to you, man. And man, good luck to you with your school and stuff like that, man. And take it light, man.
All right, brother.
All right, take care. Yeah, man. I mean, 3-hour drive, man. That's incredible right there. That's commitment right there, bro. 3-hour drive, man. Hey, but sometimes, man, when you really want something, you got to make those sacrifices for it. Shouts out to you, Josh. Let's see. David says, man, Mr. Benson put Mickey in his will. Wise, we might be stuck with him forever. I don't mind Mickey Loomis being a part of this team in an executive capacity. I think that he's a very intelligent man. I think that he's a really good football mind. But I just think that it's with anything in life, man. Sometimes things just pass you by. And I just think that what helps a lot of these coaches that coach for a long time, these executives that work in the front office for a long time, is their ability to adapt. And to me, I just feel like, and I could be way out in left field, but it almost feels like to me, like Mickey Loomis feels as if he's at war with the fan base or something. Like, I don't know, man. It's like, I don't know if he's ticked off at the fact that he liked Dennis Allen, and we know that the fan base played a huge role for the Saints kind of coming in and intervening and kind of stepping on his toes and firing Dennis Allen. I don't know. But all I know is what he's doing isn't working. It doesn't seem like it. Right? I mean, Only time will tell about this coaching situation. But people want to see something that they don't normally see. Like the Saints going after Kellen Moore, to me, was kind of the process of elimination. It wasn't like they just basically zeroed in on Kellen Moore and he was their guy the entire time. We know that wasn't the case. They kind of fell into it. Like, okay, Kellen Moore wants to be a coach. Oh, you want to? Okay, man, this really works out. And the optics look good because they got a coach that's young, that's kind of like what the wave of the National Football League is now. And, the last time we seen Kellen Moore, he was winning a Super Bowl as the offensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles. So it makes, like, when it comes to optics, it makes the Saints look like, man, they doing something completely different. But I'm wondering to myself, if some things would have possibly worked out in their favor, like maybe, I don't know, Cliff Kingsbury willing to coach the team, or maybe Mike Vrabel being able to come in for a visit, who's to say that, they want to went in that direction? They kind of like, if this thing works out, it's just one of those cases. I use this example. It's like going to the corner store, getting a quick pick on a pick 3, all 3 numbers hidden, and you winning some money. But you got to be able to change some of the things that you're doing, man. People just want to see some change. People want to see that things are moving and shaking. And, the energy of the Who Dat Nation is just down, man, because, like, people want to see something that they feel like they can believe in. Like, most people don't believe in this football team. They love this football team because they, one, grew up watching, have an emotional investment in it. So they're going to always like watch the team, support the team in certain ways, but nobody's really looking forward to the season the way that they once did. I mean, I don't think people are looking at this season the way that they once did. It's a marriage that needs a divorce. It's been too long. Mickey's still butthurt. He created that war. Mickey's still chewing on that same stale piece of gum. Who that? Let's see. Mickey has crippled the organization. Everybody else getting better and stuck like Chuck with a 1997 Ford Explorer with 190,000 miles on. I mean, you can have 190,000 miles on it, but do you take care of that Ford Explorer? It probably can still take you where you need to go. Is there any way to win 10 games, win a playoff game, and still get rid of Mickey Loomis? Nah. There's no way. Hell no, TJ. I disagree with that. Greg, what do you disagree with? What did I say? I said quite a bit. Says I don't believe in Gayle Benson either. Yeah, I don't really talk that much about Gayle Benson because, look, Gayle Benson just inherited a football team. I don't feel like Gayle Benson would be anywhere around football if she didn't inherit this team. I don't think you'll see Gayle Benson on row 100 leading the Who Dat chant. Like, I just don't. I just think that she married Tom Benson, and he had this football team, and when he passed on, he gave it to her. I don't like, and I mean, I can't like sit up here and just knock Gayle Benson. I just can't. Like, I mean, she doesn't know what she doesn't know. I think that, that's the reason why you put people around your organization that know certain things better than you do. And, she'll come there and she'll support the team, and she'll, shake hands and, wave at folk, and, she'll read the little, press thing that they had set up for them. She'll do that kind of stuff, which your owner should. But, that's why you got to rely on these football people to be able to do the things that they need to do, and if they're not doing it, you got to be brave enough. Like I don't have an issue with Gayle Benson. I don't have an issue with Gayle Benson at all, because I think one thing that she showed was she would be willing to intervene if necessary. Like, she stepped in when things would seem like they were getting out of hand and told Mickey Loomis to fire Dennis Allen. So we don't need somebody just standing on the sidelines on some Jerry Jones stuff, sitting in the luxury box, and they got to pan up to him every time the Cowboys do something wrong. Like, we don't need that. I don't want to see it. But just to know that she's willing to step in if things get out of hand, out of control, I feel like that'll be a plus. All right, sorry about that. Talking to Packy, trying to negotiate a last meal before he go to sleep tonight. Gail slept in a Holiday Inn Express, and now she running the Saints. I'm not even gonna touch that one. Many a day I ate fruit rings though. Let's see, Gail, the only one that had or the cojones, the fire dinners. Yeah, I mean, basically. That's what I'm saying. Like, you don't have to be David Tepper, right? I mean, you ain't gotta be one of those guys that basically just ready to sneeze, like if somebody sneeze in your direction, you fire. Like, I just want, like, if push comes to shove, like if it doesn't work out this season, right? And we watching Mickey Loomis like just muck things up, right? And this has been like what 4-5 years of this stuff, right? I would hope that she would intervene and be like, Mickey, look, we need to go in a different direction. We need to find ourselves a new general manager. I would hope that that'll be the case because I don't want to see this. Like, I don't want to keep on going through this, and having these type of conversations, man. Like, you basically continuing to set yourself back further and further. And having contracts on this team that, the guys ain't even on a team, ain't been on a team 2 and 3 years. Like, you don't want to work like that, man. Mickey Loomis is a good football mind, TJ. I think he is. I think he's a good look. We can't, like, just because he has a bad outing doesn't mean that this man doesn't know what the heck he's doing. Like, for the last 4 years, like, this the most we ever really talked about this guy. This is the most we ever talked about him. So, man, you can't just say, oh, man, this dude is just terrible. Like, he ain't, like, right now, yeah, you may need to go in a different direction, but this wasn't always the case. Like, we gonna sit up here and pretend like not too far ago we were praising Mickey Loomis, calling him a cap wizard. We were saying these things about this dude. Now all of a sudden, you don't have Sean Payton, you don't have Drew Brees. Now all of a sudden, like, this dude just sucked and just don't, like, come on, man. Like, let's not do that. Let's not do that. Like, do I feel like the Saints need to go in a different direction for when it comes to the GM? Absolutely. Like, the way things going, yes. Or at least have somebody up in there with some different ideas and views and be able to challenge him. But to say that this man was never good at his job, like, I'm just saying, man, like, it happens to the best of us. It happens to the best of us, man. Man, there are times when we were like in our prime. I always use this example. When I was in my 20s, I go to the gym on a fast break. Man, I jump so high I can just drop the ball into the rim. Straight up. Ask me to do that today at the age of 38. I can't. I want to. I aspire to do it, but I can't. Yeah, like, things happen, man, over the course of time. You got to be able to adapt. And if you look at some of these coaches, like the Pete Carrolls, like the Sean Paytons, they are not the same coaches they were when they first started coaching. They had to adapt. The problem is when it comes to Mickey Loomis, doesn't seem like he's really adapting. He wants the world to adapt to him, but it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that, man. And that's the biggest issue. So I'm not going to sit up here and just say Mickey Loomis was always terrible. Like, no, I don't feel like that's fair. Like, you can, like, a compelling argument could be he's been terrible over the last couple of years. But yes, you know what I'm saying? Like, he did find Sean Payton. He did hire him. Like, despite how it happened, he's responsible for hiring him. Despite what happened with Drew, he's responsible for signing Drew. So you got to keep that. You got to be synonymous with that. Yeah, I mean, he's synonymous with that. Stop capping, TJ. We forgot that before Jeff Ireland was hired, they was calling for Loomis' head. I didn't hear it. I didn't hear it. I didn't hear they was calling for Mickey Loomis' head. I ain't capping about nothing. And I know we ain't about to. Are we using Jeff Ireland for a scapegoat? Now we just talking, because the last time I checked, people would have been questioning Jeff Ireland's drafting players or not drafting the right players. Like, we've been going at him. So that can't be it. That can't be it, because people have some issues with Jeff Ireland too. Y'all can say whatever y'all want, man. Y'all not gonna convince me that this dude was just always terrible. I'm just not. I don't believe that. I just feel like this is one of those situations where time just passed you by. That time has passed you by. You may be used to doing the same thing, doing it the same way, and not adapting. This is what happens when you don't adapt. The Saints haven't adapted. They do the same. The Saints operate the same way. The Saints operate the same way. They go to the combine every single year. Don't talk to the national media. And then they go to the Senior Bowl. Don't talk to the national media. Basically set up sports writers, text them, okay, we're gonna be at this spot right here in 10 minutes. Y'all come over here. They'll answer the question from the local media. The local media go on Twitter and give us what they said, yada, yada, yada. That's just the way they operate. And they have operated like this for a very, very long time. Their inability to adapt is the reason why we ended in this situation right here. TJ, has been 4 years since the Saints have made the playoffs. It's time for a new GM. Look, I just said it. Like, if it's up to me, do I feel like the Saints need to go in a different direction? Absolutely. But I'm not, there's this old saying, throwing the baby out with the bathwater. I'm not going to do that. Like, my issues and my gripes deal with how this team has looked over the last 4 years. That's my gripe. Like, it's obvious, right? It's obvious that they need to go in a different direction. They need to do things a little bit differently than what they've been doing. But I'm not going to do that, man. I'm not going to do it. Like, a person can be like, God rest her soul. Let's use Whitney Houston, for example. Whitney Houston, when she first came out in the 80s, man, she can blow. Pause. I mean, hit all the notes, right? I mean, one of the greatest singers of any lifetime. But as time went on, we know she couldn't hit them notes no more. I mean, there are reasons why, but I'm just saying she couldn't hit them notes. Now, that doesn't mean that Whitney Houston wasn't great. She was. In a moment of time, she was the greatest singer that ever graced this earth, in my opinion. I'm not going to just completely just throw dirt on her name because in the late 2000s, like, she couldn't hit them notes like she used to. I mean, Mickey Loomis had a decent run. I mean, that just seemed like that run is pretty much over. It's over with. It's time for some new blood. It's time for some new energy. So I'm not gonna do that. Like, I'm not just gonna just throw dirt on a man because the team looking bad. Like, he ain't never did nothing good. He has. Just time to move on, in my opinion. All of them are smoking Freddie Wap now. Jeff Ireland put the Dolphins in a hole at GM. He was just Belichick's college scout guy. Let's see. That's probably the reason the national media don't give us any respect. Yeah, I mean, look, it has a lot to do with it. I'm not gonna lie to you. It has a lot to do with it. You know, it is like one thing about the national media when it comes to like teams, they don't like to really speculate that much. Like, they feel like if they speculate, just gonna tick them off because they always are constantly trying to find things to talk about. I'm gonna tell y'all this. And some of y'all, like, and I'm not gonna brag, boast about this, but I'm just telling it like it is. For the exception of, I want to say Adam, Jake, myself, we were like the only 3, I guess, like 9 credentialed Saints members that were there, right? We got opportunity like to talk to the other players that hit the podium. When I asked Ashton Jeanty, did he talk to the Saints? That made his rounds. When I asked Will Campbell, did he talk to the Saints? That made the rounds. That started conversation. People wrote articles about it. All I'm saying is, like, the national media wants to learn more about this team, but they, that's just them. Like, the Saints, they have a covert operation, and they take a lot of pride that they don't really have too many leaks. They take a lot of pride in that, man. For better or for worse. They take a lot of pride in that, and I don't have an issue with that. I don't have an issue with not really understanding or knowing. Like, it's pretty cool. I mean, got to be great, you know what I'm saying, to be that guy, to be able to let people know what's going on with the team like that. But I'm just saying, like, when it comes from a national perspective, yeah, the national media understands what the Saints organization is and who they is. They understand, like, they ain't gonna get too much out of them, and it seemed like they okay with it. And that's probably one of the main reasons, like you said, because if the Saints end up being successful and good, then you have to be around them. You have to follow them. And and if you're not able to get access to the team and talk about the team, then how interesting would it be that you have a team that's winning consistently, but you don't know that much about them because they only let so many people in, and certain individuals know what the hell going on. So yeah, I can understand that. Yeah, I've heard frustration from media members, but they speak about the Saints in high regard. Like, they don't look at the Saints like, oh man, this team is just an absolute train wreck or whatever. Like, they respect the organization. The baby, thank you very much for $5, says, why do people always throw me out with the bathwater? Don't they know I'm just a baby? That's child abuse, for God's sake. Thank you very much, the baby, for $5. Appreciate that. But yeah, it says, and Rick James said cocaine is a hell of a drug. Rest in peace. Let's see. The Broncos look nice for real. Sean Payton is one of the GOAT coaches. All fans should give him his respect. Look, I got respect for Sean Payton. I got respect for Sean Payton, especially when I walked past Sean Payton at that Starbucks and he looked at me like I was a number 1 receiver. Like, started looking me up and down, sizing me up. I'm like, yeah, man, I feel like I can go 8 catches for 96 for you, man. Nah, but seriously, man, like, I have nothing but respect for Sean Payton. I have nothing but respect for him. Like, I understand, like, a lot of people don't like the way that he left, but he's the greatest coach that this organization has ever had. And, outside of the fact that I kind of question that whole mental health thing that they was talking about, because I don't really feel like that was all too legit, especially what we heard when it came to the Miami Dolphins and Brian Flores. That's the only issue that I had, because somebody that deals with mental health and so many people that deal with mental health, I don't feel like that needs to be used as a scapegoat, because you really got some people hurting out here. And I don't feel like people need to use that to make sure that, I guess, it alleviates pressure off of them. That's my only gripe. Other than that, man, greatest coach the Saints ever had. Greatest coach, hands down. TJ, I hear you, fam. Mickey is old spoiled milk. He's 70. How many years he thinks he can keep running a team without adapting? He's very arrogant. Well, here's the thing, Bronze. When they talked to Mickey Loomis at the end of the season, when they talked to him and he was like, yeah, I understand, people question, my ability. They look at me, I'm 69 years old. I'm like, I don't think people care about how old you are. I just think that they look at it like you're doing a pretty terrible job here, like with these decision making. But it just makes me like wonder, like, does this dude just really think that's what people's axe to grind with him is? Like, it has absolutely nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with these bad decisions and not calling a spade and understanding that you should have closed the books up when you seen number 9 walk through that tunnel and turn around like the Undertaker does when he finished with a match. That's what you should have did. You should have closed them books and be like, man, okay, man, we about to go out here. We about to hit that reset button. That's what you should have did. But instead, you was around here still with these last $2, still going to the crap table, trying to put it all on the line, and you keep crapping out. So I don't know, man. I don't know. You guys got to change. Like, people just want some more transparency, man. They don't want gaslighting. I think people will respect, I feel like Mickey Loomis knows what the fan base feels about the team, but he doesn't want to give them the satisfaction of letting them know that he knows. Like, if he would have went to the podium and said, last season it was unacceptable. Like, these are not the type of seasons that we have grown accustomed to over the last 15, 16 years. Yeah, we haven't made the postseason a couple of years, but the way that this season has panned out, this is not the way that we want it to go. There are some things that we need to look at when it comes to like certain members of the coaching staff, players, making sure that we have the right people in the building. And as a general manager, I am going to do my job to make sure that we put a product on the field that Saints fans, when they come into the Superdome, they can enjoy and have an appreciation for. Absolutely unacceptable. It is all on me. And I am going to make sure that I stop at nothing to make sure that we have a positive product in New Orleans. If he would have said something like that, I guarantee you, okay, Mick, man, look, okay, we're going to give you a shot, man. But when you sit up there and start making excuses, oh, there was the injuries. I know people don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear injuries, but that's just the way that it is. Now, yeah, injuries played a role, but you ain't about to tell me the injuries just caused a 7-game losing streak. No, bro. I didn't see the same. Man, we didn't see the Saints roll out here with no number one, number two cornerback, no number one, number two wide receiver, running backs down, and they still find a way to win. They might lose some games or something, but they ain't losing 7 in a row. That 7 in a row was an indicator that they did not, I'm talking about the players, they did not want to play for Dennis Allen. That was mutiny. That's what that was. And for you not to call a spade, I just think that's what upsets people. That's what makes people frustrated. TJ, that was so long ago. He did something great for the city. Yes, he hired Sean Payton. Yes, he signed Drew Brees. What they was the reason, but they were the reason why we was winning. What has Mickey, but still, if it was a fifth, we all would be drunk. Like, if it was a fifth, we all would be drunk. If you didn't step foot, I don't know, in that grocery store, would you have met your wife? Would you have met your husband? If you didn't, stroll at 2:00 in the morning and you seen this perfect job, you know what I'm saying? Would you have filled out the application? Would you have gotten the job? We can't just look at it and be like, oh, yeah, he did. Like, no. What he did was sign the two most important individuals in his franchise's history. Two things can be true, man. Like, two things can be true. You can be bad at what you're doing and at the same time has some levels of success. He has had levels of success as an executive. We could, yes, aligning yourself with Sean Payton and Drew Brees does pay off for you. But there would be no Sean Payton. There would be no Drew Brees if he didn't pull the trigger on it. So you got to give him credit in that regard, man. I'm not saying sit up here and say he the greatest general manager that ever lived, but he did have some good moments. I'm not going to kick a man while he's down. I'm just not. If we're going to tell a story, man, we got to tell it all. We mad at Mickey Loomis for the simple fact that we have seen this team have success. That's the real issue. That's the real angle. That's where it's coming from. We have seen this team have success, on his watch. If he was just completely incompetent and we didn't believe nothing, we wouldn't even be thinking we'd be like, man, bro, we wouldn't even y'all wouldn't be watching me. Y'all wouldn't be watching none of these other podcasts out here do their thing. You wouldn't, because you'll kind of already know it is what it is. There's a standard that was set in place because of the two individuals that he hired, whether you want to accept it or not. There's a standard that was left behind because of the two individuals that he hired that gave this organization, the Saints, the most prosperous time in franchise's history. So yes, I will give him credit in that regard. But as of right now, if you're asking me, do the Saints need to move on and maybe look at somebody else as a general manager? Abso-freaking-lutely. But I'm not going to kick a guy in the gonads on his way out because he's not giving me what I want at this time and just completely like just negate all of the things that he did do that were positive. He did some positive stuff. Sue me. Loomis kills the future before it gets here. Why restructure a 36-year-old DeMario? I don't know, man. I don't know. I like DeMario Davis. I think that DeMario Davis is one of the greatest leaders in New Orleans Saints history. But this is what happened when you kick the can down the road, man. This is what happens. Like, you have to, like, some decisions are made by you, and some of them, you know, they kind of force your hand. You ain't got no choice. Not me. I'll kick his back in when a man's down, depending on what he did. Yeah, I mean, but yeah, you can kick him right down, but it still, you know, defeat the fact that he did some good things. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and just say that the man just was horrible the entire time he was with the Saints. I just can't do that. And I can say that and still think that the Saints need another general manager. I still can do that. We did have a Super Bowl winning coach in Hank Stram, but we could never get him enough talent to win in NOLA. He retired and passed in Louisiana too. He lived out his last years in Covington, Louisiana. Yeah, man. The Omega level can kicker. LOL. TJ, I disagree. Mickey and get out of business and go out on top, but he wants to prove his suck. What's that? You say you disagree, Mickey, and get out the business and go. What are we disagreeing with? Like, I'm saying everything that everybody. I think that people expect me to just say just all type of bad things about the guy, but I mean, he had some good moments. I'm sorry, he had some good moments. I can say that and say the Saints need to move on from general manager Mickey Loomis. You just can. You just can. Like, I don't, man. I can't. I'm not in that business, man. I'm not in that business. I mean, how many players have we seen have some really good years in the National Football League, but then all of a sudden, like, they start to get old, like, you know, they get a little slower, and then all of a sudden, like, yo, man, I think it's time for them to, like, you know, maybe release this guy, move on, and try to get a younger wide receiver, get a younger tight end or a younger cornerback. Yeah, you know, I mean, that's not defeat. That doesn't defeat what that person did in the uniform. That player did. It don't defeat it. It just means that they're not where they need to be right now. I think both things can be true. David keeps saying he wants to play past 2027. I would have shut the door. We lack a player development. That's Mickey Falk kicking the can down the road. I agree. I agree with that. Like, I agree with this. All of these things are indefensible. Like, they're not, like, you can't defend this. We talked about this. We talked about the lack of player development. We talked about how the Saints need to, you know, find coaches that can be able to get the best out of these players. I've even conceded in saying that I feel like it's kind of pointless to talk about these players because I really don't know how good or how bad they are. So yes, you know, and that's why I like what Kellen Moore has done. I mean, he's gotten guys on his coaching staff that have a reputation of developing talent. So he understands in order for the Saints to get out this situation, he's going to have to develop these players, the ones that come in and the young players that they have now, so they can turn a page. TJ, look, I've been rocking with this team since 2006. I'm just tired of just something every year. I'm 36 now. When are they going to get good again? Look, great. Look, I look. You preach to the choir, my friend. And like I said, it has nothing to look. You're entitled to your opinion, right? You're entitled to your opinion. I'm just telling you like how I felt about the situation. I do feel like, you know, there was some good in the midst of this chaos that we're in right now. I want to see this team be successful. I want the Saints to put the necessary tools together to find success, just like everybody else. I want that too. Like I don't want to be, you know, just sitting up here ragging on the team, like talking bad. Like I grew up watching this team, man. I grew up watching this team. I got a lot of respect for this team. I'm from the city. Man. But I mean, I'm not gonna sugarcoat nothing. I ain't gonna sugarcoat nothing, man, about it. Like, this team has an issue. They have a problem. They need to fix it. And they know it. So sitting up here pretending or trying to fluff it out or like that's not what people need right now, man. I'm not saying that, you know, you want to raise people's blood pressure and have them walking there with pitchforks and torches down Airline Highway or something. But at the end of the day, like, we got to keep this thing a buck. Like, these decisions that are being made and the arrogance in which they are being made, that's not what is necessary, man. Like, you can't get mad that people are questioning your ability to be able to continue to be able to negotiate deals and bring in the right people when over the last couple of years, it seemed like you kind of fell asleep at the wheel, man. Like, you know, everybody got to be held accountable for their actions. We can't even afford to retain our young talent, LOL. We have zero depth behind Davis because of Mickey. This is the draft to find his replacement and Cam. I agree. I know I better see Jalen Ford on the field this football season. Better see somebody out there, man. Like I said, Mickey better be careful because these folks is crazy more days. He needs to stop being so arrogant. Well, look, man, I'm not advocating for nobody to go out here and take matters into their own hands, man. It's just football at the end of the day, man. Ain't nobody need to be losing, you know what I'm saying, like going absolutely off the rails because, you know, of this situation. Like, we just got to hope that they get this thing together. Debo had to get paid somewhere else because Mickey messed up the cap so bad. Probably lowballed him. If Mickey is still legally attached to this team per Mr. Tom Benson final request, you'll have to take him to court to get an injunction to force him out. Well, you don't have to force him out. I mean, but they can. They can relieve him of his duties. He ain't got nothing to do with that. Like, that's up to Dennis Lausch and Gail Benson. Like, he ain't got no say-so in that. Like, he ain't got that type of power that you just go overthrow the actual owner. What's up, TJ? If we don't get a quarterback in the draft, do you think Loomis will go all out trying to get Arch when he enters the draft? No. These moves in which the Saints have made so far just tells me that they feel like injuries played a role and why did the season went left last season. So the Saints ain't looking, oh, man, we trying to tank for Arch Manning. The Saints trying to win as many games as they possibly can. By them going out here telling Derek Carr that they want him back, they're just telling you that they feel that they can win way more games with him than without him. If the Saints were just on like in full rebuild mode, then they would have allowed Derek Carr to walk. They would have ate the salary cap. And they probably would have rolled with Spencer Rattler and let him start the season. But it seems to me like they want to try to contend and try to do everything they can to try to win the division and go to the postseason. So, no, I don't think Arch Manning is in the plan for the Saints. Now, if it happens that way, It just happens that way, but I don't think the Saints are looking for it. Mickey kick more cash than waste management. TJ, I think I already read that already. King Arthur, what's going on, man? Appreciate you for being here. The crazy part is Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward will both be gone before I pick unless we trade up to get one of them. I mean, one of them could be there. Both of them could be gone, you know? I mean, I'm just looking at this draft, right? You got Tennessee Titans. To me, I just think that they might end up drafting Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter. You look at the Cleveland Browns, they just end up signing Kenny Pickett. Like, how are they looking at Kenny Pickett as the future of their franchise? Are they looking at aligning Cam Ward with someone else, or Shedeur Sanders with somebody else? I can tell you this. They had two teams that was in that top, in that top five that said they didn't really necessarily like the energy that Shedeur Sanders was coming with. That was the talk of the combine, like toward the last couple of days I was there. I mean, and you also are seeing these teams that, are thinking about getting a quarterback. They're not thinking about it, right? I mean, you got the Raiders. They went out and they made a trade to get Geno Smith. You look at the Jets, end up getting Justin Fields. Like I said, the Browns getting Kenny Pickett. So, I mean, those are the three teams right there. I mean, the Giants were one of those teams. Like, the Giants, like, this is what it was told to me. The Giants were one of those teams that wasn't very a huge fan of it. So I don't know if that was one of those things that they were just doing for, a competitive edge, trying to make sure that the quarterback that they wanted was there when they pick them. I don't know what it was. But all I know is there's a possibility, man. So if you can get past the Browns, you get past the Giants. What other team in that top, I guess, top 8 need a quarterback? So if none of those teams draft them, guess what? You're gonna have an opportunity to do it. T. Riley, thank you very much for the $5. Says, looks like this coming season is going to be a farewell tour for some of our favorite Saints players. I mean, it's a business, man. It's a tough business at the end of the day, but these guys understand that. They understand it's a business. I still want to know, did Loomis get his taxes because he needs to put in this cap? Y'all not tired of asking for Arch? No, I don't think they are, man. The 49ers and Patriots prove that you can get a quarterback anywhere in the draft, but you need a team around them. Facts. Carr is just playing for the money. He's not trying to win. I think he wants to win, but he's limited. Just speaking of which, man, look, don't take my word for it. Just take this legendary head coach of the New Orleans Saints. This is courtesy of Fletcher Mackel's X page.
Do you think Derek Carr can become the guy?
No, because Derek Carr is what he is. I mean, he's not going to get any better. I mean, he's been in this league a long time.
10
years.
He's
been a quarterback. He's been with some other team that have thought they were pretty good teams too. Derek Carr is not going to improve as an NFL quarterback next year from this year. He's just not.
No, I mean that's the legendary Jim Mora right there. All right, so this man has forgot more football than any of us know. So I would take his word. I would take his word for it. We know that old Jimmy, he don't shy away from anything, right? I mean, he's straight to the point, straight shot, no chaser. Is the legendary Jim Mora, man. Love Jim. Says we should bring back Cooks. Or look at Cooper and look at Reed and Byron Murphy and free agent. I mean, I'm not objective to Byron Murphy, not at all. Man, no disrespect to Amari Cooper, no disrespect to Brandon Cooks. The Saints need to get young at the wide receiver position. They need their own guys, man. Like, son, like draft a rookie wide receiver. Draft one. Like, just draft a wide receiver. Roll with that. Like, I mean, you want to draft players, put them in your system, develop those players to be the players that you need them to be. That is what's going to help the Saints more than anything. I understand, like, watching the timeline and watching all these reports and your phone pinging all day long and watching how the Rams operating, watching how the Bears operating, watch how the Panthers operating, the Jets, all these different teams. I get it, man. I completely understand. But that's not always going to equate to winning. Like just throwing, like backing up the Brinks truck and bringing in a guy that's just recognizable. Like I just feel like great teams that find success consistently, they draft really well, and they'll probably add one or two pieces in free agency that can maybe show up a certain position that they feel like needs to be improved. That is the recipe for success, not backing up the Brinks truck. I don't care if the New Orleans Saints do get the cap situation back in 26 and 27. I don't care. You still don't want to operate like that. You want to be able to develop the players in your system. Draft the players that you feel like are the best fit for what you're trying to do as an organization. So that's what you need to do. I don't have an issue with Olave. I don't have an issue with Shaheed. I just think that the Saints need a big body receiver. Somebody that's going to demand a double team that eventually will become that number one receiver. And you can have Shaheed and Olave eating. I think it will benefit Chris Olave not being that top guy. I think it will benefit Shaheed not being, trying to be that top guy. They can actually just work within that system, catch the passes when the ball is thrown their way. And that number one receiver can go out there, man, and make incredible catches, move the chains, be a red zone threat. That's what they need. I mean, I don't look. Maybe a veteran cornerback can probably do something for you, but I think they need to draft a wide receiver. I think they need to get themselves a young, big body wide receiver. 6'3", 6'4", 215, 220. A physically imposing guy that can win a 50-50 ball, that got a dog mentality. Sign me up. Not getting a guy because I recognize who he is and where he's from, and I'm not and no disrespect to the comment at all. I'm just saying, like, that's cool and all, the thought of Amari Cooper playing for the Saints or Brandon Cooks making a comeback tour with the Saints, that's great. But the Saints need some dogs, man, and they need some young dogs on this team. Like, if we're going to do it like that, man, we basically are being hypocrites. That's hypocrisy of the highest order. Because we've been talking about for I don't know how long we want this team to get young. So you want to add on 2 more 30-year-old wide receivers? Or you want to add on 2 more 30-year-old linebackers or something, or cornerbacks? Like, I don't know about that, man. I don't know about that. That's just food for thought, man. I mean, I have no problem with Amari Cooper. I think he's talented. I have no problem. I don't have no problem with Brandon Cooks. Yeah, I mean, McMillan. Yeah, I mean, that would be, man, that'll be great if you can get him. McMillan is who we're going for if Shedeur is going by 9. Another Olave situation. Well, look, I think that McMillan, I think he got some dog in him, man. So Savion Williams, Savion Williams, I think he definitely fits that mold. The wide receiver out of Iowa State, I believe his name is Higgins, if I'm not mistaken. I think that he's he had a really good combine, man. He had a really good combine out there. And he's a big physical guy, had 1,000 yards receiving. Will Johnson, a dog. We need a cornerback more than a wide receiver. I mean, I think that's fair. I think that's fair. I think that's fair. Like, especially when you don't bring back Paulson Adebo. And you just have really Alontae Taylor and Kool-Aid McKinstry as your top starting cornerbacks, which I like Alontae Taylor in a nickel. I like him in a nickel. So unless you're about to draft a cornerback in the second round or something like that. But I honestly feel like, man, maybe the Saints may end up, signing a free agent cornerback. I mean, they tried to get Javarius Ward before he signed with the Indianapolis Colts. So, I mean, that's a plus. What I'm doing right now, man, I'm looking at the free agent tracker, like what they have so far and who's available. Got a lot of guys that end up getting paid, signing with other teams. Milton Williams, the defensive tackle, went from Philly to New England. Sam Darnold went from Minnesota to Seattle. Dan Moore, the tackle, he went from Pittsburgh to Tennessee. Josh Sweat from Philly to Arizona. Cameron Bynum, he went from Minnesota to Indianapolis. Carlton Davis, Detroit to New England. Javarius Ward, San Francisco to Indianapolis. Paulson Adebo, of course, from the Saints to the Giants. You got Nate Hobbs, the cornerback. He went from Las Vegas to Green Bay. And Javon Kinlaw, Jets to the Commanders. Commanders are really they really trying to make a run at this, and they're a more appealing spot now, of course, because you got Jaden Daniels. Everybody wants to play for a guy like that, right? So let's see. So right now, available. These are some of the top players that are available, and you got Stephon Diggs. Of course, he had the ACL injury when he was with the Houston Texans this past season. You got Joey Bosa, who was released by the Chargers. Could this be could he reunite with Brandon Staley, his former head coach and now defensive coordinator of the Saints? We'll see. Keenan Allen, wide receiver. He played for the Chicago Bears. Amari Cooper, like you all mentioned, Brandon Cooks, Tyler Lockett. You got Matthew Judon, who is with the Atlanta Falcons. Trey Lance, the quarterback that was drafted by the 49ers, spent some time in Dallas. Juwan Johnson still out there on the street. Mike Hilton, that would be interesting, right? Mike Hilton played with the Cincinnati Bengals. And you also have like some other guys that have a little bit of a name. Mac Jones, if you need a backup. Peyton Turner on the street looking for a job. Tano Passanio, I mean, wow, this is insane. Like, these are some of the Saints players that unrestricted free agents here. You got Elijah Moore. Man, I can't believe Elijah Moore is only 24 years old. Like, Elijah Moore feel like he's been in the league forever. But those are a couple guys, man, that Mike Hilton, that's not a bad pickup right there. Somebody that can kind of be a that could probably be like a placeholder, a bridge guy, as you develop a cornerback. So, I mean, these are a couple guys that's available, man. I mean, I know a lot of Saints fans were talking about Asante Samuel Jr., who's 25, played with the Chargers. You got Ojulari, right? Who played with the Giants. Like, he's a unrestricted free agent. That wouldn't be a bad pickup for the Saints. And I mean, so many others, man. I'm looking at Spot Track. So if you want to look at and see who's available, go ahead and take a look at that. It'll help you out, let you know where the Saints can actually find some of that depth for free agency. My final thought is very, very simple. I expect for the Saints to be a little active in free agency. I don't expect for them to break the bank, make anything too shocking. But I do think that they're going to bring in some guys defensively that probably coincide with what Brandon Staley is going to try to run. I expect for the New Orleans Saints to maybe add some offense through the NFL draft due to the fact that it's pretty deep at certain skill positions. So I expect that. But I'm not too upset at the Saints not really going out there just making a huge splash. But I do feel like the New Orleans Saints need to do something that can get the Who Dat Nation back on board, make them feel optimistic about the season, because right now, signing Nate Shepherd to a 1-year deal, no disrespect, but I'm just speaking from a fan's perspective. Restructuring Derek Carr and bringing back Dante Pettis, that's not necessarily going to move the needle or move Saints fans. As talented as those guys are, it's not going to do it. The Saints fans, they feel like they need something. Like we were talking about 2006, so I just think that it suffice that I mentioned this. It's kind of like when Reggie Bush signed with the Saints, right? I mean, all the things that were going on with the city, the devastation in New Orleans, and everybody kind of wondering, are the Saints going to be moved and all these things? And then all of a sudden, the Saints draft Reggie Bush with the 2nd pick in the NFL draft. And Reggie Bush, to me, as a Saints player, never lived up to that hype. I mean, he had a respectable career with the Saints, but it was just what this guy represent. Like, it was what he represent. He was the best college player that we've seen in probably our lifetime. And he comes to the New Orleans Saints, and he was that injection that the Saints needed, that pulse that they needed. I think the Saints organization needs to look for that player. I don't know who it is, but if you can get a guy with a Jaden Daniels type energy, it don't have to be a quarterback. It can be a player at any position, but somewhere, that Saints fans can look at that player and be like, man, we're going to be all right for the future. I think that's exactly what the doctor would order for the New Orleans Saints in order for them to get the fans back on board. But right now, looking a little rough. But thank y'all so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. Really do appreciate it. Much love to each and every one of you. Hope that you enjoyed the show. Hope that you appreciate, the content. And if you did, I just ask that you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. You can hit that bell for notifications. Shouts out to everybody that's here. Shouts out to everybody that chimed in. Shouts out to Josh for calling in. And, we'll be back later on this week as the news of free agency starts to rev up. Who will the New Orleans Saints bring to the organization? Who will they not bring back? Will we see any shocking releases from the New Orleans Saints? Will we see some shocking acquisitions from the New Orleans Saints? Keep it locked right here to the State of the Saints podcast. We'll let you know about it. Till next time, all I got to say is, who dat?
Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast. Please subscribe to our channel.
All I got to say is, who dat?